Hello, vinyl community, and shout outs to both James Lobbin and James Griffiths. This particular video is going to be a response to James Griffiths talking about driving music. And it also serves as one of the answers to James Lobbin's contest. So, all right, so I was kind of discussing with James Griffiths that driving music is actually a pretty complex subject. Much like there's many reasons to be driving, there's also many reasons for choosing the music we choose while we drive. So, just some of the questions I came up with in my original, just text response to him. Where are you driving? That might play a role. And how long are you going to be driving? That's definitely going to play a role. Also, huge factors for me, weather and time. What's the weather like and what time of day is it? Those are huge factors. And probably the biggest factor for me is who am I driving with? If I'm driving with my wife, the music is going to be much, much different than if I'm by myself. Some more obscure questions to think about when considering driving music are actually the mood that you're in as you're embarking on your journey, on your drive. That could play a big role in the kind of music you're playing. And sort of related to that, with the music choice, are you intending to change your mood? Like if you're in a foul mood and you're headed home, are you going to put on some music that will hopefully get you out of that bad mood and that sort of thing? And then also another thing to consider, particularly if you're driving a convertible or maybe even just with the windows down, are you aware and does it affect your choice in music? Thinking about the people that may be hearing the music emanating from your car. It's played a role for me. I'll admit that. So those are a lot of factors to consider. I'll just kind of go through them again, kind of giving a little more information about how it affects my driving or my music choices in particular. Hopefully it doesn't affect my driving, but at least not in a bad way. All right, where? Generally, well, with my previous job, if I was driving to my previous job, frequently I either wouldn't put music or I'd put something very relaxing, calming, that sort of thing. I'm much more open with my current job because I love my current job as opposed to the previous job. So I think where driving to and from work plays less of a role now. How long you're driving? Most of the lengthier driving I do is with my wife. So we'll get to that in a couple questions, basically. But when I'm driving by myself, I don't know that the length of my drive really plays that much of a role. What does play a role, big time, the weather. There's very specific music I like to play, like if it's raining. Classical, jazz, what else? The Doors, that sort of thing. So, if it's rainy, probably some of those. Late at night, I tend to get into more. It's weird, but at night I tend to drive to like very upbeat music, even electronic music, dance music, that sort of thing. During the day, very often classical, that sort of thing. Then the next part is whoever may be writing with you. And obviously that plays a huge role. So, you know, my tastes in music are very, very eclectic. Very eclectic. And the wife is really the opposite of that. Her taste in music is much, much more limited. So, you know, when we're driving together, she basically has the say of what we play, or what we listen to, and the car is usually, you know, filled with her kind of music anyway. So basically, whatever's in there. Frequently, we'll be driving to the Beatles, Pulp, Blur, Radiohead, Morrissey, or the Smiths. A lot of that type. A lot of Britpop, actually. She's a big fan of Britpop. Yeah, so, you know, and I'm happy with those choices. But, you know, if left up to me, I tend to vary it up a little more. Now, the mood at the beginning, I'll get back to when I was working at my previous job, which it was just a rough job. I was definitely in the wrong industry. It was financial services, and I would frequently be leaving work in a very foul mood. And that lasted for 9 years. Woo! So towards the end especially, I would frequently put on like extreme music, like especially, you know, death metal, just alternative metal, even just heavy metal in general, maybe punk music, stuff that I could just kind of wallow in my anger for a little while and kind of get it out of my system before I got home. So, yeah. And related to that, of course, is the changing of the mood. Now, sometimes I'd be like, okay, I'm in this foul mood. I need to get out of it. So, and this doesn't always work for me. Sometimes I just have to wallow in whatever mood I'm in. But sometimes I will put on music that is contrary to the mood I'm in. For example, if I'm upset, I might put on, you know, classical music, maybe some, you know, smoother jazz, that sort of thing. Something that's gonna like calm me down, relax me, kind of alter my mood in that way. And then the last part was, you know, taking into consideration what others may be hearing emanating from your car. There's been times I've been, you know, playing rap music pretty loud, and I've become a little self-conscious. It doesn't necessarily stop me from playing it, but that's kind of a music that most people wouldn't expect me to be playing. Like, if they glanced over and heard the rap music, they'd be like, what? Who does this guy think he is? Yeah, so, you know, those are kind of my answers. But to get more specific into artists I would consider, you know, for driving, definitely the Doors. The Beatles, it really is good driving music. Definitely. Yeah, I could get into some jazz, like Chet Baker. Although his his music can be a little sleepy for driving, and there's quiet passages, which if you're getting a lot of road noise, it wouldn't always be best. That sort of thing. But well, that's kind of my answer. Hopefully, I made some sense anyway. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.